Bruce Pascoe, almost famous so-called Aborigine, has just upped the stakes with a new book that will really test the cultural elite. Exactly how many lies will these people swallow? So what has fascinated me for years about Pascoe is that he's already proved that our politicians and our academics and our writers' festivals and the ABC, they're going to believe almost any fakery from this fake, like his claim to be Aboriginal when his genealogical records show that all his ancestors are of British descent. Or his fake claim in his bestseller Dark Emu that Aborigines before settlement were actually farmers living in houses in towns of 1,000 people. Now, as I've proved here repeatedly on the show, it's all complete nonsense. Yet Bruce Pascoe is still a professor at Melbourne University. He's still promoted by the ABC and is still a guest at the next Melbourne Writers' Festival in May because he's just written a new book and now he's really going to go for broke. If our cultural elite will believe all the fantasies so far, I guess he's figuring, well, why not try them with even more amazing untruths in his book, which is co-written by his partner, about their farm near Mallacoota. It's called Black Duck, A Year at Yambara. Now, this is a book I'm guessing will prove for good that truth is dead to the left. For a start, in this book, Pascoe writes that Aborigines ran this country perfectly for 100,000 years. 100,000 years, until whites snatched it away. And to end their disadvantage today, we should develop a truly Australian cuisine based on the old food production techniques of Aborigines and pay them for the produce. He says, I look forward to the day when Australians think nothing of eating roux curry with kangaroo grass bread. In fact, Pascoe boasts, and I quote, we actually perform these miracles on his farm. In fact, he's promised this miracle for years.
My name's Bruce Pascoe. I'm a writer. I live at Mallacoota and I'm a Yuin Bunurong Tasmanian man. This is kangaroo grass. The old people worked with this to make flour.
Okay, let me now fact-check these astonishing claims, now broadcast in his new book and repeated in flattering profiles in the 9 newspapers. That kangaroo grass bread is a delicious story. But let's first start with Pascoe's claim that Aborigines were here for 100,000 years, because this also exposes how politicians will say anything as well, any sweet falsehood in Aboriginal history. Activists have, until Pascoe's new boast, said that Aborigines were here for 65,000 years, taking quite strange pride in claiming this is the oldest continuous culture on Earth, as if the rest of the world should be embarrassed that we're losers for having seen the rise of great empires, the Egyptian and the Chinese and the Assyrian and the Athenian and the Roman and the British. And no. Hear it from the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, when he was launching his idiotic campaign for The Voice last year to divide us by race.
In recognition of 65,000 years of history, vote yes! Vote yes on October 14.
Well, actually, even 65,000 years of Aboriginal settlement isn't really a fact, let alone Pascoe's 100,000 years. It was long thought that Aborigines were here for no more than 45,000 years, which is a long trot already. I don't know why you need to exaggerate it. Or maybe 50,000 years, until Professor Chris Clarkson and others claimed in 2017 to have found a hearth at a place in the Northern Territory that showed the occupation of Australia by modern humans out of Africa began around 65,000 years ago. But two papers since, by Professor Emeritus Jim Allen and by 9 scientists led by Distinguished Professor Emeritus James O'Connell, say they don't believe it. They say there's a myriad of errors in this paper, and any estimate of Aborigines living at this particular site, this one site, for more than 50,000 years is unlikely to be valid. And no wonder, because they had a lot of questions that needed answering. Why was this 65,000-year-old date confirmed only by testing the the sand grains around the so-called hearth and not the carbon residue from the fires that have been lit on it? Why does no other site of Aboriginal occupation in this entire country come within 15,000 years of this new date? Just one on its own. What are the odds? And they asked, hadn't these papers, hadn't the hearth actually just settled deeper into this very sandy soil, deeper into those older levels that have been dated? Sort of sunk down after all the heavy rains from tens of thousands of years of wet seasons up there, plus the burrowing of termites that you find so common up there. So many questions. In fact, though, you see, it's generally accepted that human beings like us and Aborigines, with our telltale genes from interbreeding with Neanderthals, that's how they can track it, we spread across Eurasia from Africa and Southwest Asia only about 50,000 years ago or so. We couldn't have got to Australia. And a group of 18 Aboriginal men even had their DNA treated with or tested with family tree DNA. And they found the common ancestor lived 65,000 years ago and not in Australia, but probably still in the Horn of Africa. Hadn't quite got here yet. Okay, so that's that 100,000 year claim of Pascoe. I mean, you can put that in the bin. But let's get to the kangaroo grass bread, because this is more fun. And it also goes to Pascoe's hip pocket. As I said, Pascoe dreams in this book of Aborigines finally thriving, even though many do already, let's be honest, in the cities, finally thriving when the rest of us eat truly Australian cuisine and think of nothing of eating kangaroo grass bread. And it's already performing this miracle on his farm. And indeed, he has boasted for years of growing this kangaroo grass there, other seeds as well, and making flour, just like Aboriginal farmers allegedly once did.
I'm looking forward to that day when I can rock up to Coles and see our flours, our products on the supermarket shelf.
Small problem with that dream. In fact, it's a huge one. And I don't just mean that the taste of kangaroo grass flour or the pancakes made from it. I mean, you just check the face of now former ABC chairman Ita Buttrose when Pascoe came to cook it for her.
Can I try that? What does it taste like?
Well, there's the taste test.
Bit doughy.
No, just tastes like flour, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It tastes like a pepper.
Yeah.
Now, even if you do like the taste of kangaroo grass, and maybe I haven't tasted it, maybe it's terrific, here's the big problem. It costs an absolute bomb to buy because its yields are so low. You need more than 10 times the acreage that you do for wheat. 1 kilo of wheat flour at Coles, therefore, costs just $1.40, right? $1.40 for a kilo. But 1 kilo of Pascoe's kangaroo and speargrass flour from his farm is $360. Just check his website. Just a quarter of Pascoe's flour already costs $90, multiplied by 4, $360. And that is despite charities and taxpayers and businesses giving Pascoe's farm more than $2 million of help and other kind of advice as well to help stay in business. So you tell me, how can that kind of flour be sold as a great solution to Aboriginal disadvantage by Pascoe today? I mean, people, check the facts. So we've got totally unbelievable claims of Aborigines being here for 100,000 years, twice as long as some scientists say is actually the time, and a bizarre fantasy about kangaroo grass flour that have worked out will let you bake 1 loaf of bread for $150. But you watch. Will this latest nonsense finally get Pascoe sacked as Melbourne University's Professor of Indigenous Agriculture, if this is the nonsense he comes up with? And will the ABC now disown its hero? I mean, here we have Pascoe again, testing our cultural elite's commitment to telling the truth. And I'm betting on another fail.